Okay. Mickey Sodoro was a 70-year-old real estate agent in Omaha, Nebraska, known for his warmth and dedication. On Monday, December 28th, 2020, he spent the day at his NP Dodge Realty office in good spirits, his jovial self, as one colleague recalled. With the new year approaching, Sodoro was looking forward to the holidays with family. That evening, he had one last appointment, a house showing at a recently purchased West Omaha home that his family planned to rent out. Sodoro told his son he would be meeting a prospective renter and expected to be back in about an hour and a half after collecting a deposit and rent, first month's rent. Will somebody take away my co-host rights, please? When Sodoro failed to return home that night and could not be reached, his family grew alarmed. In the early hours of December 29th, they filed a missing persons report informing Douglas County deputies about Sodoro's appointment at the house near 193rd Street. Shortly after 6:30 a.m. on Tuesday, deputies began searching for the veteran realtor. They soon discovered Sodoro's pickup truck, a 2019 Chevy Silverado, parked a few blocks from the property, empty, locked, and with the engine off. Fearing the worst, officers entered the vacant rental home using a garage code provided by Sodoro's son to look for any sign of him. Inside the quiet house, deputies found unsettling clues. The home was supposed to be unoccupied, yet there were red-brown smears visible on the stairway banister, leading from the basement to the main floor. In the dining room, patches of the carpet were stained with blood, and a discarded sweatshirt lay on the floor, marked with what appeared to be blood as well. In the kitchen pantry and upstairs bathroom, more traces of blood were discovered. Moving through the house, investigators noticed a shelving unit partially blocking a ground level crawl space in the attached garage. They moved the shelf aside and opened the crawl space door. There, hidden under loose scraps of carpeting and flooring, they made a grim discovery: Mickey Sodoro's body. He had been killed by a single gunshot fired into the back of his head. It was now clear this was no missing persons case. It was a murder. The West Omaha rental home where Mickey Sodoro was last seen, investigators found his truck abandoned nearby inside the house, and inside the house discovered signs of foul play leading them to the hidden crawl space. The Douglas County's Sheriff's Office launched a homicide investigation, working swiftly to piece together what had happened in that house. They learned from Sodoro's family that the person he was meeting was 43-year-old Ross Lorello III, a potential renter who had expressed interest in the property. Lorello became an immediate person of interest. Neighbors in the area helped as well. One witness had noticed a black Ford Edge SUV in the home's driveway around the time of the showing and provided a partial license plate number. Records showed that Lorello's fiance owned a black Ford Edge, and the partial plate matched her vehicle. With this lead, investigators were now on Lorello's trail. As detectives dug into Ross Lorello's background, they didn't find a history of violent crime. In fact, he had virtually no criminal record. But they did uncover serious financial troubles. Court records revealed Lorello had been sued in 2017 for more than $600,000 over a home construction project. And in 2018, his wages were garnished by a credit management firm. By 2019, Lorello had divorced, with 3 children to support and over $1,300 a month in child support payments ordered. Though investigators did not announce an official motive, the picture emerged of a man under financial strain, possibly desperate for a place to live or a quick deal. The home Sodoro was showing was a rent-to-own opportunity, perhaps an enticing prospect for someone in Lorello's situation. Meanwhile, forensic technicians combed through the crime scene for evidence. In an upstairs bathroom, they found 2 clear handprints pressed on the tub, one of them in blood. The prints were lifted and analyzed, and both matched Ross Lorello. It appeared Lorello had been in that bathroom with blood on his hands. Investigators also collected the orange sweatshirt found on the floor, noting it had blood on it as well. The sweatshirt would later test positive for Sodoro's blood and be shown to have DNA from both Sodoro and Lorello on its collar. Piece by piece, the evidence was beginning to weave a chilling story. Ross Lorello was brought in for questioning on December 29th, the same day Sodoro's body was found. He agreed to speak with deputies and initially cooperated. According to the affidavit, Lorello claimed that the meeting with Sodoro had been uneventful. He said he arrived at the house at 6:15 p.m. on December 28th, signed some rent-to-own paperwork, and handed Sodoro approximately $9,700 in cash for 6 months' rent. Lorello told investigators that after about half an hour, he locked up the house and left, while Sodoro supposedly departed to meet another couple interested in the property, leaving his own truck running in the driveway. Lorello described encountering an unknown bearded man in a bright colored shirt outside who was looking for Sodoro, a story that grew more suspicious as the details failed to check out. In fact, the bearded man in a lime green shirt was likely a kernel of truth twisted in Lorello's tale. Casey Fryer, the home's previous owner, did stop by that evening wearing a high visibility yellow sweatshirt. Fryer had swung past the house unannounced around 6:45 p.m., not knowing a showing was happening, simply to check on the property one last time. This surprise visitor rang the doorbell, inadvertently interrupting a crime in progress. What really happened inside that house was far more sinister than the story Lorello told. Investigators determined that shortly after Sodoro and Lorello entered the home, Lorello pulled out a .22 caliber revolver and shot Mickey Sodoro in the back of the head at close range. The killing was swift and sudden. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Casey Fryer's arrival likely startled Lorello before he could stage the scene or dispose of the body as planned. Panicking, Lorello dragged Sodoro's lifeless body into the garage crawl space and hastily covered it with carpeting scraps. In his rush, Lorello left behind critical evidence. His own sweatshirt, now stained with Sodoro's blood, was forgotten on the floor. In the bathroom, bloody handprints marked where Lorello tried to clean up or collect himself. Rather than answering the persistent doorbell, Lorello opened the garage overhead door and confronted Fryer outside, improvising a lie on the spot. He claimed Sodoro wasn't there, saying Sodoro's son had picked him up to show another house, according to what Fryer later told authorities. With the curious former homeowner momentarily satisfied, Lorello knew he had to flee quickly. Lorello jumped into Sodoro's pickup truck, which was still idling in front of the house, and took off into the night. The doorbell camera on a neighbor's house captured an image of 2 men walking into the home, but only one man, Lorello, driving away in Sodoro's truck. Lorello drove a short distance into the neighborhood and abandoned the truck on the side street, wiping down the driver's side door handle, yet not well enough to remove all his prints. Police later found a clear print of Lorello's left index finger on the inside of Sodoro's truck door handle. Nearby surveillance footage would soon catch more of Lorello's hurried attempts to cover his tracks. At about 7 p.m., a security camera at a local Quick Trip gas station recorded Lorello tossing Sodoro's coat into a dumpster, presumably to get rid of evidence. But by then, the net was closing in on him. The following day, December 30th, investigators executed a search warrant on the black Ford Edge SUV that Lorello had driven to the showing, a vehicle belonging to his fiancée. Inside the Ford's glove compartment, they found keys to the very rental house where Sodoro was killed, further tying Lorello to the scene. In the cargo area, hidden in the well for the spare tire, investigators made a damning find, a backpack containing loose 22 caliber ammunition and an ID card with the name Ross S. Lorello. Next to the backpack, wrapped in a towel, was a 22 caliber 6-shot revolver. When they opened the cylinder, 5 rounds were still loaded in the chambers and 1 had been fired, its spent casing still in place. Forensic experts later test-fired this revolver and confirmed that the discharge casing had been fired from the same gun. Bullet fragments recovered from Sodoro's skull were consistent with 22 caliber rounds, the same type used by the revolver. It appeared that the murder weapon had been found. Chillingly, before this information was made public, Lorello had blurted out to a coworkers that a real estate agent in the area had been shot with a 22, betraying knowledge of the crime that only the killer could have known. Physical evidence continued stacking up. The Nebraska State Patrol Crime Lab found that DNA from the blood on the orange sweatshirt was a match to Mickey Sodoro. The cuffs and collar of the sweatshirt contained a mixture of DNA from both Sodoro and Lorello. Traces of the blood in the bathtub where Lorello's palm print was found yielded DNA in which Lorello was the major contributor. Even Lorello's shoes told a tale. Blood on the soles matched Sodoro's DNA profile as well. In short, the forensic evidence linking Ross Lorello to the brutal killing was overwhelming. On February 16, 2021, a Douglas County judge presented with the evidence from the affidavit ordered Lorello to be held without bond while the case proceeded. By then, the story had shaken Omaha's real estate community. It's one of the hazards of our job that we hope never happens. When it hits so close to home, it's absolutely devastating, said one of Sodoro's longtime colleagues. Realtors who knew Mickey Sodoro struggled to comprehend how showing a house, something they do every day, had ended in such tragedy. Captain Eric Sellers of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office urged agents to take this as a grim warning, advising realtors to always travel in pairs for showings and to never meet strangers alone at a property. The criminal case moved forward, and in February 2022, Ross Lorello stood trial for first-degree murder. Over 6 days, jurors heard from 28 witnesses and reviewed a mountain of evidence. Prosecutors Brenda Beadle and Mike Jansen laid out the meticulous circumstantial case. The doorbell camera video showing the 2 men and only Lorello leave, the fingerprints, DNA, and blood tying Lorello to the scene, the recovered gun and ammunition, and Lorello's own inconsistent statements. They even described how Lorello's elaborate plan had been foiled by that fateful doorbell ring. Two men walked in and only 1 man walked out alive, Beadle told the jury, emphasizing how Lorello thought he could outsmart everyone. In closing arguments, Beadle painted Lorello as delusional and a narcissist who targeted an older man as a victim. He thought that he was smarter than everyone else. She said he could lure this older man to this house, kill him swiftly, and then pretend like he had just purchased this house for his family. Lorello's defense attorney argued there was no direct eyewitness to the shooting and suggested the video evidence was not conclusive, but it only took the jury about 2 hours of deliberation to find Ross S. Lorello III guilty of first-degree murder and use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony. On May 4th, 2022, Lorello, then 44, was back in court to face sentencing. The courtroom was packed with members of both his family and Sodoro's, many in tears. The judge delivered the only sentence allowed by law for first-degree murder: life in prison. As the shackled Lorello was led away to begin his life term, Mickey Sodoro's loved ones expressed relief that justice had been served, even as they remained heartbroken at the loss. It's just a terribly violent, tragic end to such a wonderful life that this man led, said Deputy County Attorney Beadle. Reflecting on Sodoro's legacy, Lorello never admitted guilt. Even after conviction, he maintained that someone else must have harmed Sodoro after he left the house that night. He appealed his conviction, claiming there was not enough evidence, and even challenging some surveillance video that compared his gait to the unknown individual on the camera. But in March 2023, the Nebraska Supreme Court upheld the verdict and Lorello's life sentence, finding no error in the trial. The evidence against him, the High Court noted, was more than sufficient. What began as a routine real estate showing on a winter evening had ended in a cold-blooded crime. Mickey Sodoro's tragic death sent shockwaves through the community and became a somber lesson in realtor safety. His family and colleagues, though grieving, hoped that awareness of what happened might prevent another such tragedy. Captain Seller's advice resonated deeply. Always take precautions. Trust your instincts. And never show a house alone. The story of Mickey Sodoro serves as a heartbreaking reminder that even everyday business meetings can hold unforeseen dangers and that no deal is worth one's life. That's it for this episode of True Crime in Real Estate. These cases happen more than people admit. Follow the show and stay sharp.